And welcome back to WCCF Tech TV, everyone. This is Keith, and today we're taking a look at two very popular components put together to see how well they play games together. We have the Ryzen 5 1600X and the NVIDIA GTX 1070. Yes, guys, we finally have a 1070 series card on hand, so this is the first thing we're going to do with it is take a look at how well these two play together. Now, platform-wise, we are using the X370 X-Power Gaming Titanium from MSI. We're using 16 gigabytes of G-Skills Flare X DDR4 3200, and we're using, of course, the 1600X at stock clocks and the 1070 Founders Edition by Gigabyte at stock clocks. Nothing's overclocked here. We're just going to see how, out of the box, what kind of performance you're going to get with these. So with all of that out of the way, let's jump into the gameplay. First on our dock here is Mass Effect Andromeda running at 1080p Ultra preset. So didn't show the settings here, but that's what we're running it at. It's the Ultra preset at 1080p. This was in a boss fight, or a mini boss I guess you could say, in the game, and we were seeing similar FPS outside in the open environment, so performance overall here was quite good. The game was actually really smooth. In fact, the first time I recorded it, we still had VSync turned on, so I was thrown off by that, and I was like, well, everything's running really cool. But no, this is the performance we're getting in Mass Effect Andromeda. It's pretty good. Moving now out of Mass Effect Andromeda over to Battlefield 1 at 1080p using DirectX 11 and the Ultra preset. We're seeing very high consistent frame rates, staying right close to the 100 FPS mark, occasionally dropping down into the upper 90s. So performance here in Battlefield 1 at 1080p Ultra settings with this combination is very good. We were seeing very good core utilization, so none of the cores got pegged out, but we were seeing a very even balance, maintaining full load on the GPU, which is kind of what you really want to see in these games, especially this one. And as far as multiplayer goes, the game ran great in multiplayer. The problem was it was so inconsistent from one run to the next because of player count, map size, and everything else. We tended to stick to this area for our testing because it is quite consistent. But overall, a good showing in Battlefield 1 with this combination. Very enjoyable. Moving now into Doom, running with the Vulkan API at 1080p with the Ultra preset and full anti-aliasing. The one, I can never remember the name of it, it's TSX by 8. Or TSSAA by 8, whatever. It's the higher one. Either you turn off anti-aliasing or you use this one to enable asynchronous compute functions, and so we left it on because we wanted to see full out what kind of utilization we got. Now, if you notice in this one, we don't have the MSI Afterburner overlay going because it just doesn't work in Vulkan. If I ran it in the OpenGL API, it would show up, but thankfully Doom has a very good built-in overlay. In fact, I wish I could extract it and use it in other games because it's quite frankly the best. The rolling graph is absolutely stunning. It's wonderful there. But as you can see, the frame rates and the utilization stay quite high. The GPU is definitely not being restricted here. We're seeing good performance. Love seeing an API take advantage of all of the cores that you can throw at it like this one. Now, moving out of Doom, we're going to take a look at Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Now, this is the opening sequence from the game. It actually performs decently well. Now, this is with DX12 on the high preset. Now, if you've ever tried to run this game on very high or ultra, you'll know that it's insane, the demand that it takes to get running at those settings. The high preset is visually, it's hard to tell the difference, and it actually shows very good performance here. I know there's not a lot of enemies on screen through the sections that we were testing, but it is in one of the parts of the games that's a big outdoor environment at times, whereas later in the game when you're inside, you actually get even better performance, kind of like what we're seeing right here where we're going through the shafts and up the ladder and such. We're seeing very high FPS, but once we go outside into the heavy draw distance and everything, it drops down into the upper 70s, but still very good. So Deus Ex Mankind Divided, great game, runs great on this combination in the DX12. Now moving out of Deus Ex, we're going into The Witcher 3. Of course, Witcher 3 is a long time running favorite for a lot of people. We are running it at the high presets, but we are running with Hairworks on. And I know somebody's going to be like, Keith, why are you using Hairworks? Well, quite frankly, this graphics card can run it, and if you look at the frame rates, you'll see that it's actually quite fine. We've got the Hairworks on not just Geralt, but as well as everything else. So you can see the griffin head bouncing around, the tail for there. Now, ignore my poor aim. I was actually using a controller. I know, blasphemous and all that jazz, but I was trying to remember the controls. But wanted to get an idea of how it ran in the big open outdoor areas, as well as in a little bit of combat. Again, don't judge my skills. See there? He did. He got thrown in the air. Alright, so The Witcher 3 runs great on here. You can turn Hairworks off for an even bigger performance boost, but overall, out of the gate with no overclocking, everything running fine. It runs great, so full utilization. CPU's kind of chilling out in this game. It's doing such a good job. But that's it for The Witcher 3. Moving on to Ghost Recon Wildlands. Now, people can say what they want to about this game, but I really enjoy it. It's a really fun game for me to play. And this combination fared quite well. This is the very high preset. I typically run this, whenever we benchmark it, we stick to the high setting because very high and ultra are quite demanding in the game. Again here, not showcasing any kind of skill here. I'm just playing the game, and I actually really like the draw distance of this game as well as the foliage. It does a really good job, and there's a lot to render here. And you can see, even though it's a DirectX 11 game, CPU utilization is very good. I mean, it's loading up across all 12 threads and pretty good utilization, and the GPU is staying at about 98-99% utilization, which is pretty much max utilization for an NVIDIA card. They sit between 98-99% utilization. But this is a really fun game. Got to steal this chopper real quick, so hang on just a second while I do that. But that's been the games that we ran on here just to see how well they performed. We'll get into the conclusion real quick. So at the end of the day, I think it's fair to make the statement that this combination, being the R5 or Ryzen 5 1600X and the GTX 1070, even at 1080p, perform absolutely great together. And the reason we did this, we actually used the Elgato HD 60S to record this off screen rather than trying to use shadow play. We wanted to show you an unhindered performance of how they ran to get an idea of what kind of results you would get with this combination. This isn't necessarily any type of comparison to any other system, rather than a look at what kind of performance you could expect, especially in these titles, with this particular combination. If you guys would like to see more of this type of video, we'd be more than happy to do that, because what we're trying to do is help you guys make better buying decisions instead of really focusing on how pretty something is. So let us know in the comments below what you think about this. I would love to bring you more. This has been Keith with WCCF Tech TV, and if you found this entertaining or informative whatsoever, feel free to like and subscribe, and we will catch you all in the next video.